Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 3 of the Real Talk Anime Podcast. Just like always, you're here with me, Link. We got Corbett,
Hello.
and we also got Brooke.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, indeed.
Yeah.
And yeah, so today we're going to be talking about maybe a bit more of a personal topic. It's our anime origin stories and kind of the timelines of our anime consumption up to date. And then at the end of the show, we're also going to be talking, as usual, about seasonals. This week, we're going to be talking about the first few episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen, as well as Tonikaku Kawaii, which are some shows that we mentioned on our last episode.
But for the main topic, it's basically our flashback backstory episode here. So
Yeah,
Nostalgia
this is the
train.
flashback episode of the Real Talk Anime Podcast, so prepare yourself. So I guess for my flashback, it all started when I was like really young, like just like among all of the shows that my parents would play for me as like a young kid, like probably like 4 years old, give or take a few years. Like Naruto was like one of those shows, right? And there was definitely some other ones too, like Pokemon and things like that, right? Pretty typical, like just a random kid that just like watched some random like Cartoon Network anime that was like mainstream.
they were never anime. It was just cartoon. It was like, oh, let's put
Yeah.
on Pokemon, let's put on Naruto, let's put on
And
Yu-Gi-Oh,
that's the thing,
you know?
right? It's like now there's such a line. It's like, oh, that's anime, that's not anime. Avatar does not count. This, that,
Yeah.
you know, like there's all this stuff, right? And before, like when you're a kid, everything is just simple, right? It's just stuff you like, stuff you don't like, stuff that's tasty, stuff that makes you cry, right?
That's
So-
tasty.
So like Naruto was just a cartoon. It was just a show, as was most of the anime that I watched as a kid. But I didn't really understand it, right? Like I didn't like get what was going on, and
Because it was always just like
probably-
one random episode in the middle of an arc.
right, like I didn't watch it
Mhm.
sequentially or anything like
Yeah.
that, right? It's just whatever was playing. Most of them were reruns anyway.
Yeah, it's not like an
Um,
actual like SpongeBob cartoon where you always know what's going on because you just know who SpongeBob characters are. right?
Yeah, like for SpongeBob, even though the episodes are kind of like standalone, it doesn't really matter. Like you can watch them like there are some things that matter like in terms of plot points, but like for the most part they're all standalone. So you can just like watch them however you want. Reruns, it doesn't matter. You'll always enjoy it. But then like shows like Naruto, like literally the big 3 shonen, like how are you supposed
Yeah.
to understand what the hell is going on when you're watching episode 3 and then you're watching episode 476 and all
But
that? Like it's just weird.
I feel like that's the appeal to anime
Yeah.
for young kids. It's just like you get the sense
just
that
cool.
there's something bigger going on behind the scenes, right? Some
Yeah.
overarching plot that just makes it like so much more like cool, you know? It's like
And that's I feel like that's kind of what happened for me because like I kind of just like stored the memories of Naruto in the back of my head, and I came back like 10 years later when I was in like middle school, like 7th grade, and I had one of those like those boxes that just had everything on it that you could like watch anything from like streams,
mhm.
and I found Naruto. I was like, wait, I obviously knew what Naruto was, but because it still is pretty mainstream, but like it was like
Oh yeah.
I was like, I feel like I've watched Naruto before, but I didn't really remember it. So I tried again, and it was in dub, and it was just like these unreliable streams that like sometimes they wouldn't work, and sometimes I'd have to like go on a random website, and like it was crazy. Like it
Nice.
was so inconvenient, but I really really liked it, and it got to a point where like I was really into it. Right, it's pretty much the only anime that I had committed to ever at that point, and the whole concept of anime had really just dawned on me. Like those lines I was talking about earlier, where like it's not just a cartoon. And then it actually impacted my daily life. Like it would literally like at school, if I was writing a test and I didn't know the answer to a question right away, I would like think about like, well, you know what, like Naruto wouldn't give up, right?
Yeah.
Cringe
like
anime
it's not.
moments.
Oh yeah, like I'd have those really cringe anime moments that looking back on like are so embarrassing. But like not gonna lie, I still sometimes have moments like that. I don't think about that. I don't think about them as anime or like make that
Mhm.
connection. But like even in like my exams now, like I just think about like, hey, like I can't give up, right? I'm not thinking about anime, but like I just think like it genuinely made an impact, and like Naruto actually made a definitely a long lasting impact on me because like it's such a good story, and to this day it's obviously still one of my because of a bias, one of my favorite shows ever, and I would argue that it's like definitely one of the best anime to ever exist, right? You know, the big three. It's a controversial topic, but it is what it is, and that was just beginning, right? Like I said, it was 8th grade, 7th grade, and I was just binging Naruto. I'd come home from school, I'd watch like 2 to 5 episodes before getting started with work or going to play outside with the kids on my street, and it was crazy. And then I also knew that I think Corbett, because I've known you for a really long time,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty sure you also had watched Naruto around that time.
I started watching Naruto like between the 9th and 10th grade, I think.
Okay, well, I guess maybe I got the timeline a bit messed up there, but I remember even before, like, recently, basically before like any time in the last few years, like I remember I associated you as a guy who watched Naruto. I don't know why, but so maybe I just knew. But anyway, that was like just like the first arc, right, of my flashback here. Like that was just the beginning, right?
The early
we all start
shonen arc.
somewhere. Yeah, this is like, you know, the early life section in a Wikipedia page about a person. That's that.
But I mean, it makes sense, right? If you think about it, Naruto is kind of the story for middle school kids. It's like,
Yeah,
That's true, yeah.
yeah, definitely, and like
just
also
teaches you all
I'm
those
like-
life lessons. That
it definitely does have some like really valuable lessons. Like I remember one of the lines I'll never forget. Like I won't be able to say it exactly because like I don't remember the exact wording, but it's something like, it was like what Kakashi said when he was like doing their trial. Like he was like basically doing the bell thing. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
In like it's probably like within the first 15 episodes or less.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something about like someone who doesn't obey the rules, like people who don't obey the rules are scum, but people who abandon their friends are worse than scum. And like I literally thought, I was
Yeah.
like, damn, that's my life slogan.
like,
I'm
damn,
living by that.
That's my
I was like,
ninja
damn.
way.
Yeah, that's my Nindo, bruh. That's my
Yeah, that's
Nindo.
that is Link's Nindo right there.
Yeah. And yeah, but anyway, that's just like the beginning. And then eventually I sort of just took a pause because it was 9th grade, I think. It was early high school, I'd say. I don't remember exactly when. And pretty much the Naruto manga had just ended. And I didn't really understand how like anime production versus manga production worked and how there was like a big delay and stuff like that, because I just watched Naruto and that's all I cared about.
Mhm.
And so I just figured, oh damn, does that mean that Naruto's over, like the show? But obviously it wasn't, because there was still so much for me to watch. And so I started watching, and then I caught up. I actually ended up catching up, and I was like, wait, what now? I wasn't really familiar with the idea of seasonals, like I am now, clearly.
You haven't gone down that dark,
Clearly.
deep hole.
Yeah, I hadn't fallen down the rabbit hole really yet. So I was like, oh well, I guess I'll just wait for all the episodes to come out, and then I'll watch it when it's done. Since I figured out that, you know, the manga had ended, which means that the anime is going to end at some point. Took a while after that though, but but yeah, I did end up just stopping, and so I stopped watching anime altogether for pretty much an entire year. Actually, I think I there was like some shows here and there that I just randomly, like short 12 to 24 episode shows that I just kind of binged here and there, but really that was basically it. And then it was a start of a new phase. It was like it was a few months later, I think, and I basically just like got addicted to like random like harem shows.
Wait, how did this start though? Like, what was
I
the?
don't-
I think okay, this is really cringe.
Like
Wow.
you reverted to normie and then immediately went to harem
Yeah,
shows.
I was like literally like shonen king, and then I became degenerate idiot. No,
Okay.
I forget how it really all started. I think what happened is that I was probably watching a YouTube video, and I probably saw like a clip or something from High School DxD. Which, by the way, guys, if I know Brooke hasn't seen it, but like
No.
anyone else who hasn't seen it, like, okay, the catchphrase for High School DxD is, you go there for one reason, but you stay for a different reason. Okay,
yeah.
that's all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know.
It's just
Um,
you know, it's just
there's
plot.
there's good plot.
Yeah, basically watch it.
Well.
Basically, if you're above the age of 18,
If- if
Another-
you're
another-
of the
another show
appropriate
for,
age, it has good
for-
plot.
for
for
middle
kids.
schoolers trying to find their way in the world, so to speak.
Yeah.
but pretty much I just, well, actually, okay, I know that this
Slash
sounds like
high
an
schoolers.
excuse. This sounds like an excuse, but I actually did go watch it for the plot. Like, I know that sounds like I'm capping, right?
No,
but
I
I'm
did
actually
too.
serious.
Seriously.
Like even like a lot of people click on it just because of the character designs. Let's say that.
It's clickbait,
but
right?
yeah, it is clickbait. But like I saw a clip of like a fight scene or something. I don't even remember, but I was really interested, and I actually really liked it. And then I liked the dynamic too, right? I was like, oh man, this is kind of interesting. Like, I've never seen this before, right? Like, so like, what is this? And then I found out it was called Harem. But like, but then,
Yeah. Ooh,
but then there was also
Ooh.
there was also
Hmm.
you know, like ecchi or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is basically just like
Well, yeah.
lewd.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that those were two separate categories that were just often like together because like, you know, they kind of go hand in hand. I thought that it was the name of like the whole genre. So
Okay.
every time I want to find shows that were kind of like a guy with a bunch of girls and then like a really good plot, I would look up ecchi harem.
Oh my god.
And like I later
What?
realized why I kept ending like I kept
Hmm.
finding these like really inappropriate shows, right? Like
Wonder what good this
I
could
didn't
be.
get it. Yeah, I was like, bro, like I understand High School DxD is really bad, but like I thought this was just the dynamic. Like I thought that was just that show, you know? Like
That was just the genre, you know.
yeah,
That's just
like,
what you get when
I
you
was just
choose
so
to watch
confused.
anime.
And so I literally spent like months, like probably almost a year, literally only watching those types of shows.
Oh no.
And like I remember some of the names too. Like there was like this one called Demon King Daimo or something. There was so many, and they're all so bad. Well, some of them are actually pretty good. I have to give some of them credit. But like most of them are just so bad. Like they're on the level of like garbage isekai. And it's so sad that I can say that because I didn't learn my lesson.
But I mean, when you're sort of just getting into it, it doesn't really matter whether it's really good
That's true.
or like you're
That's
not
true.
really thinking about it with your with your critic hat on. You're just kind of watching it and just enjoying it and just going through the phases, you know?
Like you're just watching garbage for the sake of entertainment.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's like, cause like all the other things I really did in my free time were basically like play outside with like people or like hang out with like friends.
Mhm.
But like because like I was still relatively young, like the concept of just like meeting up with people just like to hang out like randomly was not really a thing. You usually had to like plan to meet up on certain dates and get your parents' permission and all that.
Yeah,
shit,
like
that
have a
stuff,
have a
right?
sleepover or something.
Yeah,
you
like
know,
it was like very planned, right? As
Yeah.
opposed to like later on, you just sort of do things spontaneously. And then like so other than that and playing video games, what else was I supposed to do? Just basically watch TV. So because I didn't have my own computer for a while. Yeah. So then I ended up watching a lot of random shows, and then after that, I did actually take a hiatus, like with no anime whatsoever, until probably the 11th grade, I think, pretty much. Because Baruch was in one of my classes, and he had just come back from Japan,
Mhm.
which is definitely a story for another day. But anyway,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and you know
Ooh,
the
yeah.
weeb master, right? He
I
came
had
back from
I had just
Japan.
come home from training in the art of culture.
Yeah, like he
Training
had
in the
just had his
mountains of
training
Japan.
arc, right? He
Yeah,
just had his
I
training
had
arc.
just reached enlightenment and have come
Eh.
home from my my what is it? What's like a religious journey?
From
Like
your what's that called?
Oh, well, point being,
Yeah,
you
point
just came
being.
out of your training arc, and I had just and now you're trying to get the boys back
yeah,
together.
I need to
except it
spread
really
the
wasn't
word.
back
I need to
together.
spread the word of
Yeah,
enlightenment.
exactly.
Basically.
You need to preach the word of God. So,
yeah.
so, so I'm sitting in the class, and Brooke is next to me, and he whispers in my ear.
I don't think we were really
Just
like
whispers
that
on.
close friends at this point, but like yeah.
Ever heard of anime? Ever heard of anime?
Okay, I don't
Okay,
think I did that.
No,
but-
that didn't actually happen. But yeah, pretty much it was like
But-
I had known of Baruch.
Yeah.
Like we were like acquainted, and I had known that he was in Japan. I'd spoken to him a few times, like over just like private messages while he was there.
Mhm.
But like, you know, we weren't too close, and like not to the point at least where he would literally give me anime recommendations or anything like that. And like I said, I was in a hiatus, right? And he came back and he's telling me all these stories about Japan, which I was still fascinated by, like regardless of, you know, the anime and otaku culture. And I was like, wow, Japan is actually so sick. And, you know, I was doing a lot more research and just like watching random videos about Japan as a country. And then he was also, of course, preaching the other words of God, which were watch anime.
yeah, for sure.
And he recommended Made in Abyss, and I think I mentioned this in the very first episode of the podcast, where like that was sort of like a turning point for me, because I was like, I was down bad. I was like, I don't remember what happened, but like I said in the first episode, I was feeling real sad about something that happened, and then Brook comes back from Japan. You know, he recruits me into the cult.
Mhm. Yeah,
and he's
and
like,
I
it's like, watch Made in Abyss, man, do it.
Made in the Abyss is kind of it's kind of weird to say this, but for me, it's the kind of show that will really lift somebody up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it did lift me up, so I can definitely agree
But
with that.
I remember when you
consider
you
it more
didn't really
dark
want to
than
watch it
uplifting,
because all of your specific preferences.
Yeah, like
Because you were talking about it
clearly,
earlier, but
clearly, I was kind of like messed up in terms of like my
After
taste,
watching
I guess.
so many harem animes,
Like you know, normally you spend some time developing your taste, and I was putting all my skill points into harem, so
yeah,
so by that point, and you know, I had allocated quite a few points into Naruto as well, so it was Naruto or harem, right? Like I didn't really know anything else, so Brook was like, okay, it's this show, and it's pretty good, and like, you know, he's explaining what Made in Abyss was all about, and I was like, okay, I'll look it up, and so I looked it up, and I thought, yeah, man, the art style's kind of weird, you know.
there's a
And then I
female
was like,
protagonist.
the main character is a girl. That really doesn't age well, by the way. But it was not a sexist comment. It was just because
like, you
I
just couldn't
only
relate
ever
to them,
watched
right?
harems, right?
Yeah, you only watch
So
harems.
the main character was always a guy, and Naruto, where the main character is also a guy. And so I didn't feel like I would enjoy it for some reason. I just felt like it wouldn't be the same. Because for me, anime really was just male protagonists doing stupid things. Most of the time, they were really stupid and, you know, lacking some brain cells or something.
Yeah,
And you know, I thought it would be too different.
Mhm.
It wasn't really anything to do with the actual, like, you know, the gender or whatever of the character. It was just the fact that like I didn't feel like I'd be able to relate to. I feel like it would just be watching a show that I wouldn't like.
Yeah.
And then he basically like,
But I was
you know, he really
persistent.
put the pressure on. Yeah, he was really putting the pressure on me to watch it, and so I did. And that, like I said, that was the turning point. It was like all of a sudden my eyes had been open. I was like, oh my god, like the animation style is weird, but holy shit, this is such a good show, right? And I was amazed, right? And then that was the start of a third arc, right? This was the arc of developing taste.
Becoming
so
cultured.
I started watching Made in Abyss, and then every time I would watch a show, I would go back to Brook, give me some recommendations. Corbett was also in the group with us too. He had watched like a bunch of shows as well, but we were both receiving recommendations from Brook. I think
Brook is the
and-
master of anime.
Yes,
stuff.
I was
Basically,
passing out
yeah.
testaments one after the other. I was
like,
creating my own religion within
every day.
the halls
We
of
would
the
ask
school.
we'd ask our prophet what was the word of God today.
Yeah,
and yeah, and I watched all sorts of shows, different genres. I tried slice of life. I watched a bunch of different shonens. I tried the mainstream shows. I tried a little bit of everything, and that took a while. This was like a 2-year arc or something, right? Where eventually I finally started watching seasonals once I had become comfortable with the amount of anime that I had under my belt. So I was like, okay, now I can watch seasonals.
But
And
man,
at that moment, I understood the concept of seasonals, and I realized, so that's what happened to Naruto. I was like, so that's what I need. I need to go back and watch Naruto, but I never did. And I know what happens just because I know everything about Naruto, but I actually never watched the last few episodes. It's actually so crazy to this day.
Damn.
wait, really?
Yeah, I still haven't. Like, I've even watched
Wow.
like a lot of Boruto. Well, I tried to like it at least, and
No one likes Boruto.
and I watched like a bunch of the movies, including the last movie that was made like as a sequel, I guess, kind of to the series.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what happens with the final battle and everything, but like I just never actually went back. And I've tried rewatching it too, but it's just so long. It's hard to commit. It's still so good. I enjoyed every minute. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, so that was like the third arc. It was like that was my training arc, right? I was developing taste. And then now I've been sort of like in like a void for a while. You know, now that I describe it, this is oddly similar to how Giguk described the anime timeline for every anime person ever, like back like 3 years ago. He made a video about this.
I mean, you kind of had a weird detour with all that harm stuff going on there. But,
You went on a weird journey there.
Yeah.
man.
but let me
Yeah,
just bring
yeah.
it back for a second. To be that guy, to get your friends into something that you're so interested in, it feels so good, man. Like
Yeah.
when I was
Mhm.
just handing out anime recommendations and you guys were like, "Oh man, that was so good. Give me something else." I'm like, "Yes, I have somebody to talk to this stuff about.
I have become
Let's
God.
go."
He's like, it's basically like, it's like grooming.
Okay.
But,
It's like
like,
grooming, but for anime fans.
yeah, it's not as bad.
Yeah, it's
In the
grooming,
end,
but
it's
not
just good for
illegal.
everyone.
Wait, grooming but
Yeah,
not legal.
Wait.
not illegal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like pretty much after that, it was pretty much like where I am now, which is basically like basically picking up random shows that I find, keeping up with some of the seasonals that seem interesting, like basically like I'd say like slightly more than casual watcher. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm not watching anime for like 3 weeks at a time, besides like the seasonals that I'm into, because usually I always find like 1 or 2 shows to watch every season.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, I mean like actually, speak of the devil, literally, I did just rewatch High School DxD, after all these years. So
Nice.
and I still stand by the fact that it actually does have a really good plot, and
Unironically
I don't
good
think that's
plot.
not debated. That's not a debated thing in the community. Like as far as I know, everyone who's actually watched High School DxD has been like, yeah, okay, sure, it's really inappropriate, and that's one reason you can watch it, but it actually is a really good story. And yeah, right now, actually, like at this moment, I'm not really watching anything. I'm basically just at a standstill. I'm trying to watch new things every time. I watch like a few episodes. I get tired. I go to sleep. Next day, I think, do I want to watch that again? Nah. And so right now, I'm actually open to recommendations. So I don't know, Brooke. Maybe I don't know what you have in store, but
I've got a whole list.
Yeah.
You already know.
Gotta open
Yeah,
the
but-
mal.
that's pretty
Yes.
much my like origin story plus timeline. And I guess like the overall like message, besides like there's like a lot of things in there, obviously, especially with the harem like detour there, but definitely like the core of it all is the shonen, and the lessons that are gonna stick with me for life. You know, the cringe lessons of never give up and stuff like that are definitely
Yeah.
gonna be from the shonen. So yeah, that's basically my origin story.
I feel like I should probably go next because our
Mhm.
stories are kind of intertwined at the end there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like for me, just like I feel like for most people, it just started back at a young age when everybody was into
Yeah.
Pokemon, and the Pokemon anime, the cartoon was just like the best thing to watch on TV.
Oh yeah.
And I remember
It was so good.
I had these old Pokemon VHS tapes. I had 3 of them, and in each one had maybe 2 episodes each on them. And I watched those so many times, just like the same 6 episodes of Pokemon over and over when I was in kindergarten and like younger elementary school. And so like you already know, I was just into it, right? And so
Yeah.
that was just like the very beginning, right? I didn't know
Yeah.
anything yet. And around a similar age, like like early to mid elementary school,
Yeah.
I had this babysitter that would come in and take care of me and my sister in the
Mhm.
house, right? When my parents were off at work
Yeah.
and or busy doing something else. And I don't know if she was a fan of anime or what, right? But she would always bring these movies, these cartoon movies that were always so fascinating and interesting. She brought the Ghibli movies.
Okay.
The Ghibli
Okay.
movies. Let's go.
That's
So-
something that I forgot. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
so the first anime that I ever saw after Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that was Ghibli.
Yeah.
I saw Spirited Away. I saw
Yeah.
Ponyo. I watched Howl's Moving Castle. I saw
Okay.
Princess Mononoke and all of those, right? And those were
Yeah.
some of my favorite movies. I love watching those movies.
Yeah.
There's something unique and charming about those
Those-
movies that everybody who's seen
Those
them understands.
literally give me goosebumps every single time. It doesn't matter how many times I watch those, how many times I rewatch them. Like it's literally so good. And I definitely forgot to mention that because that's also something that I watched with my parents when I was young.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that age, right, my perception of what anime was
Yeah.
was a Ghibli movie like thing, which I loved
Okay.
so much, right? And so
Yeah.
anytime I would I'd see an anime, like the next time I was introduced to anime, right, was
Yeah.
around grade 5, I'd say, when
Uh-huh.
this girl in my class was telling me to watch Bleach, right?
Yeah.
And I looked
Yeah.
into it, right? And I was like, wow, this looks a lot like those Ghibli movies that I used to like.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's another Ghibli like
It's
thing.
another Ghibli like
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I mean, that's
Obviously-
not too far off, to be honest.
Yeah, and so just the fact that I'd seen Ghibli made me want to watch this Bleach thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I was in grade 5. I started watching the dub, right?
Yeah.
And I think at this age, my mom would like to she used to like curate what I saw to make sure
Yeah.
I wasn't watching anything inappropriate, right? Especially if it was
That's
on the
fair.
internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so she watched the first episode of Bleach with me, and it was dubbed, right? And
Yeah.
the protagonist Ichigo, like every 5 seconds, he'd be like, "Shit, damn," right? And it's like at grade 5, I'll be like, "Whoa, he's swearing so much!" Like, mom, I promise, it's not gonna be that
Promise I
bad."
won't swear more.
And so I was like, it was really embarrassing to me to watch with all these swear words, right? So I switched to the sub, and just
Makes
to avoid the
sense.
swear words, right? Because even
Okay,
though like the
okay.
swear words would be in the subtitles, he wouldn't be saying it, right? And my mom was like, "Oh yeah, that's okay. You can watch it in sub, right?" And so
Yeah.
that's how I grew up on subs, because the Ghibli movies were in dubs, and I was just planning on watching dubs, right? But
Yeah.
that's why I was doing.
That's a tactical decision.
Yeah,
Holy-
from then on, it was subs for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I got really hooked on Bleach. I think for me, Bleach was your Naruto. I just something
Yeah.
about the shonen, just like the trials and tribulations, that the never give up. The
Yeah.
you're like, I feel like most people
Dude,
in
yeah.
like
The shonen formula.
in
The
el-
shonen
in, like,
formula hits so well the
in-
first few times.
Just
yeah,
hits
like
different
from
when
late
you're young.
elementary to middle school, especially. Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody feels like an anime protagonist when you're that
Yeah,
age, right?
Because you're trying to figure out like there's so many like typical things, like you're trying to figure out who you are, where you stand, what your opinions about things are, what you like, what you dislike,
Yeah.
who's your crowd.
And your imagination is still really active too. So you'd go to school
Yeah.
and you'd be like, "I'm Bleach, Bankai, let's go!" And you'd do like sword fights with your friends and stuff.
You'd be
Yeah.
the cringe anime kid.
Yeah, like the amount of times that I literally played like Naruto battle, like just like making up jutsus,
Yeah, it's like
pretending to cut my thumb with my tooth and hitting the floor,
Yeah.
yeah, summoning jutsu. Like,
Let's
oh my god.
go.
it's something that cartoons can't give you. It's just special.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
It's
I
like
never
an
did
anime.
SpongeBob. I never recreated SpongeBob scenes with my
Yeah.
brother.
You just can't do it as much.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just like it just adds something to your childhood, right?
Mhm.
And so I really enjoyed watching Bleach, and I had those same moments where I would be writing a test, or like I'd be in an argument with a friend, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Man, I just know that friendship is the most important thing. I can't let this go." And so
Yeah.
I'd call my friend and be like, "I'm really sorry. I just realized the value of friendship is too important."
I realized that I need
I'm
the
sorry,
power
man,
of
the value of
friendship to
friendship-
overcome
I can
chaos.
imagine 14-year-old Brooke saying, "Hey man, just wanted to call you to let you know that the value of friendship is actually way more important
Way
than,
more
than this argument.
Yeah.
So I want to forgive you." And it would be
Yeah,
on like
I was
the home
I was
phone,
that
too,
guy.
because,
Yeah,
like,
it was
there's
the
no cell
home
phones.
phone. It was the home phone.
Like leaving a message for his whole family to hear.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, and so that took me into the late elementary school, and
Yeah.
the same girl who recommended that I watch Bleach,
Mhm.
she pulled a piece of paper out of her pocket, out of her sweater pocket, that she had printed off of like the library computer or something, and it was just this anime girl with pink hair,
Oh,
and I was
no.
like, "What's that? It looks like something like Bleach or like Ghibli," and she's like, "Oh, it's a show called Elfen Lied."
Oh no.
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Oh man.
And I did not know at this moment how far down the rabbit hole this show was gonna get me.
It was
How-
at this
how-
moment he realized there was no
I
going
fucked
back.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. And so she was like, why don't you take this picture home with you, and watch it. And so I did. I had her like her crumpled.
Why is it like a
sweaty
drug
paper.
deal? Why is it like a drug deal? It's like, hey,
They're discreetly past anime girls.
take this picture. Take this picture.
And this was around the age where
Hey,
I was
kid, you want
allowed
some
to just
anime?
walk home, right? I didn't have to go to after school programs or anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I had a couple of hours before my mom came home to just watch stuff, right? Which I usually
Right.
spent to watch Bleach or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And so I turned this on, right? And if anybody knows anything about the first episode of Elfen Lied, you know that it's definitely the last thing
Yeah.
you want some grade 6 student to be watching all by himself.
And for his mother to walk in on him
His
watching.
front-
Yeah, so like
exactly.
first 10 minutes there's like obscene gore, violence, nudity, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And I was just like absolutely just enraptured by it. I was so fascinated. I was like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. And just the fact that I knew it was something that my mom wouldn't want me to watch, and that I was edgy and cool for doing it, made it even better, right? And so I locked the door to my mom's bedroom, which I was watching it on. And I was just like, I kept watching it until all of a sudden there was a knock on the door, and my mom was trying to get into her room. She's like, "Why do you have the
Oh,
door
no.
locked?" I was like, "Oh shit!" I closed the tab faster than like
Like, nothing.
anything
Yeah,
I've closed in my
yeah.
life. And I was like, "Oh, I was just sorry, must have accidentally locked the door or something." And I guess she thought nothing of it. She's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, whatever."
No, she
right?"
definitely knew something was up. No one would believe like a 6-year-old, or like not 6, but like 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so,
Yeah.
but
it's like
she
an
never
innocent little kid.
asked me about it. But I finished that, and it kind of just
Mhm.
like made me realize that the world of these special cartoons was way deeper and more interesting than I ever would have imagined.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and so
It's like, wait, so it's like the first time you realize how much variety there is.
yeah, pretty much.
It's
Mhm.
pretty much like, it's like, imagine your entire life you've only been eating sweet things, and then someone gives you something that's like bitter or something,
Or like salty.
and you're like, oh my god, a whole new flavor, holy shit.
I
And then like
I
sometimes you can combine them, and it's like, oh my god, there's a whole world.
like you know those cosmic horror novels, something like from Lovecraft, where
Mhm.
Oh
you
yeah, yeah.
like you read like the protagonist realized that he was ultimately just like a small insignificant part of a massive expansive world that he had no
Yep.
idea existed.
Yep.
That was me. I just like I was basically like the settlers realizing there was more continents on the planet to explore.
Yeah.
By God, I was gonna explore them.
And you were going to preach the word of God in the future.
Yeah, and so I started watching AniTubers, right? Stuff like Glass Reflection, Misty Chronexia, all these like OG classic guys, right?
Yeah,
And
these guys are old.
and the entire point of these channels, because back in the day, um, yeah, anime was still like that niche thing that you still needed like a friend of a friend to tell you what to see, right? And so
Yeah.
these YouTube channels were entirely based off of just like telling you like, oh, these are my anime recommendations, top 10 epic anime of all time, right?
Mm.
And like from the perspective of these guys, right? Anime was still kind of a gated community where you had to like watch like all your list of classic anime to be like a real anime fan, right? And so
Yeah.
I started watching all kinds of like the goated anime like Serial Experiments Lane, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Mushishi, Steins Gate, like all of these, right?
Holy.
And
The classics.
I saw
Let's
like
go.
dozens of all like these classic anime, and I was just I took the is it the red pill, the Matrix pill, like whatever one it was, right? My
You
I just
woke up.
yeah, I woke up. I was asleep my whole life, and I just woke up.
It's the beginning of something beautiful.
Mhm.
Yep. And after kind of like I'm not running out, but like but realizing that seasonal anime was a thing. By the end of middle school, I started watching seasonal anime. Beginning of high school.
Wow,
Oh,
that's so
jeez.
early.
Yep.
That is early, yeah.
I didn't know that. That's pretty good.
Yep. Um. But yeah, but I really most of my friends didn't really talk about anime other than like the Bleach and like the shonen stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey guys, check out this Mushishi. It's such a chill vibe, and everyone would be like, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe not, right?
Mm.
And during this time, of course, I was glad to have Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online that everybody was
Oh
talking
yeah.
about and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But because
Mhm.
like nobody would watch the same anime as me, I ended up watching them with my mom and my sister. Like,
Damn.
have you like I saw Mirai Nikki with my mom.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
The
Like
whole thing?
the whole thing, yeah.
Oh,
Oh
jeez.
no.
It was yeah, and so it was pretty crazy.
Uh,
And then yeah, so now I was watching seasonal, and I was all about Japan at this point because I played a lot of JRPGs too. I was really into Persona,
yeah,
which is
I
like
knew that about you too.
the best anime game you've never played.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, right? And
Uh-huh.
my sister had actually taken a like an exchange to France at the time, and so at the beginning of grade 9, I was like, well, why don't I just do the same thing and go to
Yeah.
Japan? And so I was basically just like I was full weeb at this point. I was studying Japanese on Rosetta Stone, with my seasonal anime and like I was
Let's
like that
go.
guy who was like, if you haven't seen Neon Genesis Evangelion, you're not a real anime fan.
And you were studying so that you could learn, so you could listen to
Anime
without
without
subs.
subtitles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually, this is kind of an an aside, right? But don't
Mm.
use Rosetta Stone. Don't use Duolingo. Just figure it out yourself. Look up online guides for the best ways to study, because these programs are not designed for these languages. It's just bad. So eventually, that's what I figured out. But anyways, yeah. And so I went to Japan, and in about a year from that point, so around my 10th year, and
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't actually end up watching that much anime in Japan because
Because you were
Crunchyroll
living it.
Crunchyroll is actually yeah, I was living it.
He's living the anime.
And I was really busy. Like I was working hard to study Japanese and like go to
Yeah.
school and everything there, right?
And wasn't Crunchyroll literally like
yeah, but
banned or
yeah, but
something?
Crunchyroll is literally blocked, so you need a VPN, and I didn't know how that worked, and so I just didn't watch anime,
Mm.
except for Made in Abyss, which I ended up watching on GoGo Anime when it came out.
Yeah.
And low key at the time I was thinking like, damn, maybe anime is just like was just like a phase, and like now that I've gone to Japan, I haven't seen anime. I'm living my life without anime, and I don't really want to watch anime anymore.
Mm.
But I heard about how Made in Abyss was really good, and I had to try it out, right?
Mhm.
And I
Good thing you tried it.
and I was kind of like the story of Made in Abyss, of just like these people jumping into the abyss, not knowing what's gonna happen, and like the dangers that presents itself. It was like pretty relatable to my experience of just like traveling to Japan, not knowing whether it was gonna be like a good experience, or like what was I was gonna get out of it and stuff. And so I kind of related to it a lot, and it really just kind of like
Damn.
pulled me back
It was
into the
symbolic.
yeah. It was really symbolic for me. And so
Mhm.
it became like instantly like one of my favorite anime. And I came back and I was like, I have to spread the word. And then
And then I guess that's where
yeah.
where our stories kind of
yeah,
connected.
I
Yeah.
spread it to Link and to Corbett, and then they started watching anime. I had people to talk about all my niche stuff with, all the
Yeah.
seasonals, and yeah, now it's just that kind of just leads into now where I'm still just
Yeah.
watching seasonals every now and then. Every now and then I have the podcast, and
Yeah.
yeah, so that
Like I always because like I always since I always came to you for recommendations, and like in general, still you typically watch more than me, even though there are points, because like sometimes you just take a break from watching for like a few weeks or something.
hmm
And I know you did. I know you took one of those kind of recently. Like I think it was during the summer.
yeah.
And like, but I always still looked at you as like the grandmaster,
The anime
like
grandmaster.
yeah, like the priest of the church that we have going on here. So like,
I definitely
So,
I definitely want to talk more later about like what draws people's anime, like what makes an anime fan, why
Mhm.
yeah,
why this over like other things,
and also like
How to
'cause-
turn normies into weebs.
yeah, like
and-
and like
and,
how
yeah,
and
how
just,
to
like,
get
the
people
idea of like
into
how
it.
how can you like spread it with people like without it being weird, because like, there's kind of like a stigma, which is also something I'd like to address in a future
Mhm.
episode.
Oh yeah.
So it's like when you like go up to a person, you're like, hey, do you watch anime? Like that's like exposing yourself. So
Yeah, I guess
that whole topic is actually really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think everybody listening to this probably knows, but there's just so much merit to be had in anime. Like,
Yeah,
even
for sure.
even if you just like ignore like the ecchi harem and all that stuff, like
Yeah.
yeah, like you get stuff out of anime. Like when you
Mhm.
like the Naruto story you were talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It seriously influenced like my growing up a lot. Like it's kind of cringe to think about it, how something like that, sorry, excuse me, something like so shallow or something, because it's literally I guess a cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Could like impact you so much, but like it seriously mattered a lot to me. Like a lot of like like I said, the saddest things that I had to go through. I mean, as sad as things can go for a spoiled like grade 7 kid, but like the saddest things that happened to me, I would always I would like motivate myself using lessons from Naruto. I would compare myself to the characters and always try to be better, just because of like better than who I already was, just because of the fact that the characters were able to do it. Like the deaths seriously impacted me and made me shed actual tears. Like it was crazy. But
Mhm.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
Corbett.
actually don't know your origin story, Corbett, like pretty much at all. I only know a few things.
Oh, it's about to be a wild ride. Okay, so well, I guess like most people, the anime journey sort of begins way far back
Mm.
when you sort of like you either catch a glimpse of like a random anime and then later you want to look it up or something, or like
Yeah.
you start watching. Well, for me it was Pokemon. I didn't really watch like Yu-Gi-Oh or like Beyblade or anything. It was
Mhm.
almost like exclusively Pokemon.
All right. Fair enough.
And so it was like me and my brothers would watch Pokemon like whatever day it aired. And
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it was like all the way up until maybe like the 4th or 5th grade. I would like watch Pokemon regularly whenever it would air on like weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think I watched like as episodes came out up until like the Diamond and Pearl season.
Really?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I was like watching them as they came out and stuff. And then there was a certain part in my life where I had still had like really terrible internet, but I would go on my iPod Touch and I would
Ooh.
look up Pokemon episodes, and I think I started watching from the very beginning, and I watched like 200 episodes or something.
That's
that was a good
commitment.
time. That was a good time, yeah. Of course, there's also like Avatar, whether you want to call that an anime or like
Yeah,
a
I had
cartoon
that
or
as well.
whatever.
I think
Yeah.
That was great.
I think everyone has had that one.
Yeah, I remember
was
like
really solid.
recording it on my TV's
Mhm.
like PVR or something,
Yep. I did
so
that
that I
too.
had like all the episodes. That was a good time. But the real like first anime, like 12 episode or 24 episode like actual season
Yeah.
set anime that I watched came from a recommendation back when I was in grade 5. So
Okay.
there was this like I moved to a new school just for grade 5 because there was like a it was like a gifted program thing. It didn't turn out very well in the end because it turns out I'm actually stupid, but for the time
Okay.
being I was there. And so there was this one kid that well, let's just say he had like an older brother who would influence him and like
Oh yeah, I think I know about this.
taught him a bunch of or like the kid knew things well above what his kids our age should have known, really.
Yeah.
And so the first thing that started actually was he was reading manga. And so when I would occasionally sit next to him in class and I would look over and start reading, like not like read the whole thing obviously. I'd only catch like
Or just
glimpses
like
of pages.
take a peek.
Yeah. And so that manga was Rosario Vampire.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically just a cringe harem, kind of like
Harem,
Link.
ecchi harem.
Yeah,
just
ecchi
like
harem
Link.
cringe,
Yep.
which was a good time. So I asked him if I could borrow his volumes because he would borrow his volumes from his brother,
Hmm.
and then he would like borrow them over, or like I would borrow them from him. So I would like bring one home, and then I'd have to like keep it under my bed so that no one knew I was reading like extremely lewd manga.
Yeah.
So that was
Oh
the
man,
beginning.
that was one of those harems that I watched in my phase. I remember now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I remember the manga was really different from the anime because after I think it was like a few months of 5th grade, I got a laptop, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a really terrible garbage. The thing probably can't even boot up anymore type of laptop.
Yeah.
But on that, I would start watching the anime too. So imagine
Mm.
like a 10-year-old. Is you're basically just watching High School DxD at that point, but it's just not.
Yeah.
It's not as lewd. It's just
yeah,
weird.
it's not as inappropriate, but
Mhm.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, so I would sit in like the family room with the earbuds in, and I would watch Rosario Vampire. And at some point, because I was super obvious about trying to hide it, so at
Yeah.
a certain point, I was actually confronted by my mom, like, "What are you watching?" and stuff.
In the living room.
In the living room, and I immediately turned it off, and like I held down the power button, like shut off the computer, right? And closed it. I'm just like, nothing, no problem. It's easy. There's nothing wrong.
Did you ever find out?
I don't think she found out what it was, but I think she thought it was something worse
Oh,
because
no.
she was
Yeah.
asking me questions about what I was watching. And
Do you
one of
remember
those
the questions? I feel like it's
do.
fun.
I remember a really specific question. She was like, "Was anyone in the show naked?" And so you can imagine.
No,
You
Mom!
can- no, Mom, I'm playing Minecraft.
Isn't that actually yes for that show though?
Yeah, it is. That's the thing. So I responded yes, because I was like, well,
You responded
yeah.
yes?
Yeah, I did.
20
Wow.
questions, playing 20
Questions,
questions with your
yeah.
mom.
And so she probably thought it was something much worse than just
Yeah.
no.
ecchi anime.
Yep.
For sure, man.
Oh,
So I'll never
God.
live that down. Because at the time, I didn't realize what else it could have possibly been. I was
Yeah.
Yep,
10.
yep.
So I'm like, oh,
Yep.
this is just a thing that exists, right? This is all it could be. That was a good time.
Wow.
I eventually, like 3 years later, went and rewatched the anime and sort
Yeah.
of realized it's just okay. It's not even that great of an anime because
Yeah.
you read the manga and then you watch the anime and you're like, wow, it's so obvious that they made the anime before the manga was done, and it really just hits you hard.
Mm.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's the beginning story for the first anime I ever watched. But then after that, obviously, I was turned off because I was like terrified because I thought it
Yeah.
was like the anime that was wrong, but what I was watching. So I
Mhm.
didn't watch anime for a long time.
Damn.
But it was one day in like the 8th grade, I think, where, and this is where we get to the uncharted territory, where I haven't literally
no.
told anyone this, right?
Oh
Mhm.
no.
So I remember, I think it was even before watching Rosario Vampire that I saw like one like 1 minute of an anime on like a Cartoon Network or something, right?
Okay.
I only remember that one line. Now I don't want to say what the line is because it's super cringe, right? But I remember that
Okay.
one line, and so in grade 8, I looked up that one line because I'm like, you know what? I haven't watched something in a while. Maybe it was grade 7. I don't remember. Probably grade
Yeah,
7 actually.
yeah.
I have a feeling you're gonna have to expose the line.
I'm not gonna
Not-
expose the line, but I will expose the anime.
Okay.
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 So it turns out
Suspense.
it was actually just like a magical girl anime, and it was called Tokyo Mew Mew.
Tokyo Mew Mew. I'm looking this up
Wow,
right now.
I've never
Never
heard of
heard of it. That's fine. That's fine. Apparently, it was actually really popular back in the day.
that. Oh damn. Okay.
But like the days before I watched it.
I found it on Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's like a super. It's extremely magical girl, right?
Yep.
But I actually appreciate the fact that I watched that because if I didn't, and the only impression I had of anime was Rosario Vampire, I don't
Yeah, I
think the
guess-
rest of my experience would have gone very well.
Yeah, I guess you probably wouldn't be here today.
It's like a detox, you know? I had to watch something that was more wholesome
Mm.
Yeah.
to like keep myself interested in the genre.
I've
It's
literally
really cringe.
never watched a Magic Girl show. I'm not shitting on Magic Girl shows because I don't know anything about them besides the fact that it's just a bunch of girls probably being cute or something.
That was basically the entire show, yeah. That was the
Yeah.
entire thing.
6.99 on Mal. It has
Listen,
52 episodes. So did you watch the whole thing?
I
Holy
watched the
shit.
entire thing.
Wow.
And I remember I watched it in dubbed to begin with. But then towards the end, I remember the studio dubbing it, 4Kids actually dropped the dub. So I had to finish it in
Oh, I remember
subbed.
4Kids.
And that was really weird for me because I had no
Oh,
experience
yeah.
listening to any
The
Japanese
If you
audio.
ever transition, if you ever transitioned like halfway through, it's always so weird.
It's jarring, so I couldn't finish it for a little while because I kept trying to
Yeah.
look for the dub, and then I realized like it's
Oh.
just not there, so I had to watch sub.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I started to be okay with watching subbed.
Oh, okay. That's good.
And so after that, I think is when I started to become friends with Brooke.
Mhm.
I think it
Yeah.
was like the summer or like the beginning of grade 8, I think.
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember I think you fervently suggested me watching SAO.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because everybody was watching SAO, and I knew that was the one show I could get
watched
people to
SAO
talk
back
about.
then too.
Yeah.
It's basically a harem, so
Okay, yeah.
Basically.
it,
Yeah.
it fell into my category.
Yeah, fair
yeah,
enough.
Quite nicely, yeah.
And so it started at SAO, and this is where you can like create a clear timeline of transition from normie to full weeb.
Okay.
So you start with something that's like normie adjacent, like SAO, where it's just mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
hmm
and then you move slightly over to Attack on Titan, which is what I watched next, I
Okay.
think. the first season. I think I watched the
I mean,
first
Attack on
episode
Titan
with
was
Brooke.
pretty mainstream though back then.
Yeah.
It still is.
Yeah, that's true, but like
But yeah, it gets you
it
a little
felt
bit
like it
deeper
was
in,
older.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Felt like it
yeah.
was an older type of not genre, but like for older kids, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then I watched Death Note. I remember making that school
Okay,
project with Brooke for Death Note.
Oh yeah, the movie trailer.
You guys made a school project.
we
You
made
guys
a-
made a Death Note movie
we
trailer.
made
Yep.
a movie trailer for Death Note.
We used
Bro,
the
send the
actual
link.
we used the
No,
actual
it's
Death
gone.
Note
I
OST
don't know where it
too.
is. Yeah, we used the actual
you
OST,
music?
and it was terrible.
Yeah.
I recorded it on my iPod. I remember that.
We got an A on it though. I remember everybody was really impressed because like they just used the iMovie's stock
Oh
music
yeah.
and stuff, and we were the only people with like epic anime music blaring in the background.
We did,
Actually,
like, the
it was
chip
it was
scene.
so loud. It was so loud you couldn't even hear what we were
Yeah, the
saying.
music was just great.
So
That was
God.
fun though.
yeah, it was okay. We literally recreated the entire potato chip scene
Hmm
in the trailer.
Oh,
That was
really?
amazing.
Yep.
That was so great.
Yeah. Who was light?
I was light, I
Uh,
think.
Yeah, I think I
I
was.
think
out.
so.
Can
Yeah,
you
because
take
I
this
remember
potato
some
chip and
dude,
eat it?
some dude asking me while we were presenting it, did that potato chip taste good? And I'm like, what? That was weird.
God,
Okay.
idiot! Do you not even get the reference?
Did you not get the reference, Reese?
Have you not seen Neon Genesis Evangelion, you fake fan?
Basically.
Yeah.
And I
basically.
started watching. I think I started watching Bleach around grade 8 as well. And yeah,
yeah,
I watched
good.
all of Bleach, the whole thing,
Oh wow! I didn't know you watched all Bleach.
the entire thing for.
Wow.
Even
I
the
think
fillers,
took
right?
the entire grade 8 year.
Wow.
Because I watched the fillers too.
Me too. Yeah.
That was a good time.
I mean, I
Damn.
didn't even know that they were fillers when I was a kid
the
because I was in
Bount
like
arc or
elementary
whatever.
school.
You watched that?
I don't even remember what they're called. I hardly remember half of Bleach. Not
I
gonna
mean,
lie.
some of them were good, but yeah. Anyways,
So that was the real beginning of like the shonen, right?
Mm.
It's when you just watch these super long shows. So after watching Bleach,
Hmm.
and I don't know if I remember, I don't think I watched many anime in 9th grade, but especially between the 9th and 10th grade, my brother was like, "Hey, you trying to watch all of Naruto?" And I'm like,
Mm.
"Hell yeah!" So
All right, let's go.
literally days would go by where we would just sit in the basement watching Naruto. We watched the fillers until I think halfway through Shippuden, where we realized we're just
Damn.
like, we gotta stop watching fillers. Like, they're just not even entertaining anymore.
Yeah, there's still so many episodes.
Yeah, so we had to stop watching fillers at a certain point. But that was like the entire summer where we would just binge
Damn.
between
I
like
spent a summer as well doing that.
like waking up at 10 a.m. and then going to sleep at like 1 a.m. Just
Oh, it
like
wasn't that
watching Naruto
extreme.
the entire day.
Yeah, it was not that extreme for me.
That was sorry, during that time period is also when I started my YouTube channel. That was cool.
Oh, okay, nice. Shout out to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're the ones shouting the YouTube channel out.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then after that, I guess it was pretty much just like high school, just continuing to watch stuff at Brooke's recommendation and random other shows.
Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, after or during the time period of watching Naruto, I also stumbled upon High School DxD, I think.
Okay, let's
Hmm.
go. Perfect.
So that was great. I think I started watching that in dubbed actually, and then again, I
Oh,
think the
okay.
studio that dubbed it like dropped it, or like
Yeah.
maybe it just
Yeah.
wasn't up to date yet.
Uh-huh.
So I just started watching subbed. Unironically good plot.
Very good plot.
And then I think the summer at some point I went over to Brooks Cottage and we watched Ghibli movies as well at some point.
It's a good way to spend the summer.
And I think like the DVD player broke. That was a good time.
Very specific memory.
Very specific memory. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you couldn't watch the Ghibli movies.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
We tried fixing it. Remember we like opened it up too.
Yep. Yeah.
And you blew on it or something?
So we just ended up playing Persona 4 on my Vita the whole time.
Good times.
You know what? That's actually just as good.
It's basically an anime, so
Yeah,
It's the
we're
same
basically
thing.
just playing an anime.
And then after that was basically just seasonals. I remember
Yeah.
watching. I think Erased was actually my first seasonal. I remember.
Yeah, that was such a good show.
remember watching the last episode of Erased actually in a hockey rink or something.
really.
I was at my sister's hockey tournament, and I was like, I know the last episode comes out today,
Mhm.
so I had to watch it with the garbage rink Wi-Fi. It's good times.
Oh wow, yeah. With all the hockey sounds and
Yeah.
and parents or something cheering.
Very specific memories I
Yeah.
have for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I actually forgot a few things because like I heard you guys, and there's a few things I forgot. Like one thing that is really big was like there was kind of like a middle arc in between there where it's like after I met Brooke, but I just sort of stopped taking his recommendations and started only watching Isekai.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
it was
The
like
isekai
my
garbage
rebellious
arc.
phase. Yeah, I had a rebellious phase. That was like I call it Isekai Garbage Man, where basically like I watched a few good Isekai, and I was like, okay, these are pretty solid. And then I was like, I want to find other things of this genre. So I literally watched every single Isekai that exists, every single one.
Every
I don't think
isekai.
there was a single Isekai that I didn't watch, except the first Isekai, whatever the one that the green guy.
What?
I don't know the name.
The
The
what?
green
I
guy.
don't know the
The
name.
green
The
guy.
green guy that has a finger gun.
Oh, Yu Yu
What?
Hakusho? That's not even isekai.
That's not.
Well, I mean, say it.
I thought it was like
It's kind of isekai, I guess. It's like
'cause
isekai as isekai as Harry Potter might be.
oh okay because I watch now and then here and there,
Yeah,
and I know that's seen as like that's like considered kind of like one of the first isekais,
yeah, it's
Mm.
really good.
and yeah. But anyway, like I literally watched like every single one. Like I think we referenced it in in some of the past episodes, but like literally teleport to another world with my smartphone.
Yeah.
Like
To another
this
world with
one
my
called
bank
like Death.
account.
Yeah, something about a Death Rhapsody. I forget what the title was. but I
Death
seen
March
some around
Rhapsody
some
or
things.
something.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's like something Death World Rhapsody. Yeah, but anyway,
Yeah.
I watched literally every single isekai that exists, and then eventually I finally got tired of only watching isekai for months, and I went back to just picking out random shows. I was watching seasonals obviously the entire time too, but yeah. But yeah, I guess that's the origin stories.
Well, there's a little more to mine actually.
Oh shit, there is.
Yeah, a
Okay,
little
okay.
bit, a little bit. Because we got to like the grade 11 type stuff. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I remember watching like the live action for Race 2, which I surprisingly thought was good. Usually, like
Okay,
live
I
action
never-
animes are garbage,
I
right?
never watched it. Yeah.
But this in this case, because it was just like a mystery show, it was actually like well done.
I
But
see.
anyway,
Oh, fair enough.
and then we get to like the grade 12 stuff where more seasonals, and then I started watching more like garbage stuff. Like yeah, some garbage isekais I started watching.
Hmm.
I think there was one that was like a bunch of high school prodigy students or something.
Oh
Scott,
yeah,
I know
something
you're
that
not.
I
was
know.
really
I
bad.
know that
Classroom
one.
of the
Yeah.
Elite.
Maybe that
Is
might
that
have been what
Classroom
it's
of the Elite?
called.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. I started watching.
There was
stuff
another
like
show
that.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I started watching or started reading more manga. And that's when I started to realize, wait a second. Instead of waiting, I could just like read the manga. And now I just do that for like everything
that's
that
what
I
you
find
do that
interesting.
sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so
Mhm.
annoying. Okay, like I
'Cause, like, yeah, the thing about
the-
seasonal anime is that it allows you to have these conversations, right? And you
Yeah.
and it sort of like you just hold on as an anime fan because as long as you have your seasonal, you can talk about it with your friends and you have
Mhm.
sort of a community going on, right? But that doesn't work
then-
when your friends have
Just
they already
read the
know.
but when
manga.
you're
They're like,
dive wing, and we have like a couple other, well, pretty much just one other friend who also always reads ahead, and like
And it's
it's like
already
you're trying to have
read
the
all of
conversation. You're trying
Konitake.
to have the conversation. You're like, man, I really hope that this thing happens to this character. It's like, and he
No.
just sort of laughs. And
No,
you're
I'm
like,
just
bro.
silent. I'm always just silent, dude. I
Well,
never
you're
say
silent.
anything.
He always spoils.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But
The spoiler.
yo, just
maybe
saying, just
we'll
saying,
bring
just
him onto the
saying.
show one day.
Don't get too attached to that character, man. I'm
Yeah,
just
just
saying,
don't
like,
just saying, dude. Like,
yeah,
we
hey
gotta
man,
look
don't
into
get too
that.
attached to that character. Oh, you like Subaru? That sucks, man.
That sucks. Dude. Wait till you find out what happens to him.
Yeah, but anyway.
or just casually dropping the spoiler.
Yeah, or like just like we have like a Discord server, and inside of like the anime channel that we created for the people who watch anime and read manga, it's like just like dropping a huge spoiler without a spoiler tag. I think now though we've gotten better at that, and no one really ever sends things without the spoiler
Yeah.
tag.
Yeah, I'll
Mhm.
literally be like, "Oh, I'm watching a Berserk or something," and he'll be like, "Oh, did you get to the part where his life
spoiler
changes?"
tag, spoiler tag.
Yeah, spoiler tag, spoiler tag, spoiler tag.
You get to the point where spoiler
It's
tag,
like
spoiler tag?
no, but I guess I won't anymore because I don't want to watch it anymore. 'Cause You just
Yeah.
fucking spoiled it for me. But
But
Mhm.
anyway, yeah. He's a good guy. We've actually thought about bringing him onto the show at some point, just as like an extra guest or something, or if any of
Mhm.
us can't make it for 1 week.
Mhm.
So maybe you guys will get to see him one day. But that's a surprise for another time. Yeah. Okay. Let's speed run a bit here on the seasonals. So
Yeah.
the reviews. Let's start with Jujutsu Kaisen.
Jujutsu
Okay.
Kaisen, guys, I think it's just
Jujutsu Kaisen.
it's just
Jujutsu
another
Kaisen.
another good shonen. Just like I said in the last episode, it's still solid. I like the characters. The more I see the characters, the more they kind of grow on me. They're pretty unique, I have to say.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the tropes, like the trio is really common in like pretty much every shonen
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
But like the tropes that exist between the characters. I mean, you got like kind of like a Sasuke character. You got your like brain dead main character.
Yeah, your
Brain
Naruto
dead,
guy.
like,
Yeah,
like
you got Naruto, you got Sasuke,
Jin
but
Mori,
third
you know?
the third character, yeah, Jin Mori, Han Dewi or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the third character this time is a bit different. The female character is actually a bit different.
Yeah.
She seems interesting. I don't really know what her character type is. Like, she sounds like an always mad person, but then sometimes she just sounds like someone who just complains a lot. Like I can't really tell.
She reminds me, almost like what's her name from God of High School?
Yumira?
Yumira. A little bit. For some reason, I just like I get the vibe, the same Yumira vibe.
Maybe.
I mean,
Yeah,
she
like
kind of fits that.
girl that doesn't take shit but is also kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe,
Mm.
yeah. And also like usually the female in the trio, like this wasn't a thing in God of High School obviously because Yumira is very strong, but like Sakura and stuff like that, the female in the trio is usually kind of bad.
Usually just useless because they're
Yeah.
just written poorly.
Yeah, like it's just kind of like either written
Mhm.
poorly or their goals are kind of just like not as ambitious as everyone else, or
Yeah.
or they just have bad powers. Just period. But this time it seems like we haven't seen much, but as far as I can tell, it seems like she's actually going to be a relevant character, and
She
that
seems broken. Not gonna lie.
yeah, and that she's actually kind of OP.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Mhm.
Like
which is not normal
like the final way that she exercised that
with
that
like
one
the
curse.
straw doll.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's broken. That's
I was like,
literally
damn, that's
broken.
like a ranged attack. Holy shit.
Meanwhile, our
Um,
main character just a guy with a machete.
Yeah, our main character is
Dude
just this
just
really strong
punches
guy with a
hard.
machete, and that can turn into a demon.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't use it yet, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that duality of having the monster inside of him is gonna turn out to be something that's I'm looking forward to seeing in his character.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'm hoping that it's not. I'm hoping that it's not something like Naruto with the nine-tailed fox, where it's like, because like with Naruto, it started off as like, Naruto's a lot about identity and stuff like that. So it was about him trying to like come to terms with the fact that there's the nine-tailed fox is inside of him, and that eventually they become friends, right?
Yeah.
But like, this is literally a demon guy who wants to murder everyone, right?
yeah.
And he has perfect control over him already, which is weird.
Yeah, so like I don't know if they're gonna become friends or if it's just gonna become like a because like right now I don't see that, like I have a bat in the back of my head. I see him as a threat is what I was gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
but like I don't see Kurama, like the nine-tailed fox in Naruto, as a threat in the back of my head because like he doesn't just come out alone unless Naruto gets really mad or something like that, So
Yeah.
I basically I want to figure out more about how that works and how the dynamic, like you said, the duality is gonna play is gonna play out because
because I'm trying
that's
to
definitely a place that could go wrong.
yeah. I'm trying to find where these characters are gonna develop over time and like what's gonna motivate these characters because so
Yeah.
far we don't really know too much about what motivates the Sasuke and the what's her name,
The girl.
the Sakura character.
I forget her
The
name. Well, she's
Yumira
not Sakura, but
character.
yeah,
Yeah.
the classic like one female in the group.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and the main character guy is kind of just going along because if he doesn't, then
He gets killed.
They have to
He'll
kill
die.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus he wants to help people because of his grandfather.
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
So far there's no real indication of what I mean. There is for the girl, but
Yeah,
there's
I
not
mean-
a clear idea of what's gonna what
Right.
the overarching plot is and what's
we
gonna
don't.
motivate these
We
characters
don't really
moving
know that
forward.
much. We don't really know that much, and so it's kind of like I'm hesitant to say that like, oh, it's
Yeah.
it's gonna be great.
You
right?
can really just go off of the sort of atmosphere and the vibes
Yeah.
that you're getting, and
But like, one thing that I think I'm gonna gamble and just say this is that I definitely think that like this, if they do this right and like they don't do anything stupid and the motives behind the characters and stuff make sense,
Mhm.
I definitely think that this could be a shonen on the level of like My Hero Academia and shows like that.
Oh
Mm.
yeah, I think it has the
Mhm.
aesthetic down really well. The aesthetic is
Yeah,
well formed. The action is
Yeah.
good. It's interesting. Like the
Yes.
choreography makes sense, and the powers are cool. So
yeah, because like
you've
'cause,
already
like,
got that's one half of the stuff.
yeah, it's a
already
very
there.
strong start for that show.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that it has some really good potential to be a really strong show. But again, it's just going to be, I don't know how long it's going to be, but it's probably just going to be like a one season, 12 episodes, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, it is really
Um,
popular on Shonen Jump, like I've said. So
That's true. So hopefully the adaptation does it justice, because Shonen Jump, it doesn't lie. Has Shonen Jump ever lied? I don't even know. I just said that.
yeah, good point. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. The other show we said was Tonikaku Kawaii, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so that show is good.
It's really good.
It is good.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
Well-
it's good.
Okay. Remember that moment ago where we were like, yeah, I just keep on reading ahead in the manga?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I mean,
Corbett.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of read a little bit ahead too,
I'm on
Damn.
like chapter 96. I'm
but
so
I
sorry.
probably only read as far as the anime is currently adapted, like 3 episodes.
Oh, okay.
They got to the end of the bathhouse scene, and main character guy is going to find a wedding dress for her.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, okay, so far it kind of has like a similar vibe as shows I've discussed in the past, like even Rent a Girlfriend almost. Obviously it's not
Mhm.
as like, well, first of all, it's just not as good as Rent a Girlfriend, and I'm just going to
That's
say
fair.
that. And
Yeah.
then
I agree.
but also like it's not as like tense and like it's just as what the fuck is going on though.
Yeah. It's,
So-
it's just
so-
as sudden, just like, okay, this is
Yeah,
happening
like,
now.
what the hell? And like, so I still feel like it's still pretty good. I like the idea of like randomly just marrying a person and then like they basically start like he's waiting to date until after he gets married, right? So like
Yeah.
that's like basically like that vibe is kind of funny. So I get the comedy part of it.
Dude waited
And like
till
how it's like, oh my
to-
god,
Yeah.
Dude
I
a
mean,
waited till
woman,
marriage to
a
hold
woman is
hands.
living with me, and it's literally like his first girlfriend stuff. I'm like, damn, like you guys should like really. I always am thinking to myself like, you guys should just like treat it as if you just started dating, but like they're married, so it's like weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you just skipped the whole journey here. Like, you're already at the end game.
Yeah, so I guess it's pretty cool that we get to see what happens after the marriage, though. So far, it's just kind of like a bunch of like the main character being like really nervous and a bit stupid, and
Mhm.
Yeah, and so far it kind of feels like a lot of the driving force of the plot is based off of misunderstandings and just people being
Yeah.
stupid.
and like okay,
And
I know that that's part of comedy, right? But
that-
that actually really
Yeah,
pisses me off.
that's a huge cliche in slice of
Well,
life and romance.
The reason for me is
so-
because like I really like upfront stuff in anime, if that makes sense, right? So like when a character is very upfront about their opinions on something or their
Mhm.
feelings towards another character, stuff like that, that to me is like really really like it's the part that you're waiting for the most, right?
Yeah, right.
And in Rent a Girlfriend, we were waiting so anxiously for when Kazuya would finally tell the Chizuru how he felt, and he almost did it right at the end. and like that was the climax of the scene. I was waiting for that the whole season, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of similarly in Tonikaku Kawaii, obviously they know how they feel about each other, but like I'm waiting for them to kind of be very straightforward and direct about their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I don't mean like I don't mean that I want them to have kids and get day jobs and like just be like a normal married couple with a family now, but like I mean like I want things to happen. But then
Yeah.
when things are going off of misunderstandings, it feels like you're stuck at a standstill for a while, and it feels like the things that were supposed to happen aren't really happening, and that the things that are happening are just like temporary fakes until something that's supposed to happen actually happens. I know I'm talking very very generally and like
super
abstractly.
vague, yeah.
Yeah, I'm super vague. But what I mean is, like, for example, at the end of that episode where there was a misunderstanding about how she just wanted him to call her pretty, and
Yeah.
he thought that she wanted a wedding.
Yeah,
like
that
it's like
was-
it's like like that moment. If he would have not misunderstood and just said, "Oh, sorry, you want me to call you pretty? Oh my god, you're so pretty." And just like the scene of her smiling and him being like, "Damn, I did something good." That would have been like
Yeah.
super like
It
satisfying.
It just feels
in
so
my heart.
contrived and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like that's not how regular people interact with each other. Like
Yeah.
why?
But at the
why are
same
they doing
time,
it
it
like
is still
this?
funny though.
Yeah.
I really
and-
look
So
forward
that's
to
why
next
I'm not
episode,
that's why
though.
I'm not shitting on it, because I still think it's good.
Yeah, and yeah, the wholesome marriage vibes and like couple living together vibes. That's a
Mm-hmm.
That
I
is
guess
definitely-
that's the, like probably the biggest appeal of the show.
Yeah, that's
But
definitely a
but
big one.
at the same time, it feels really pandering to to like a wish fulfillment audience.
It's got like
Yeah.
that wants to watch this stuff because
it's
they
got
don't
kind
have
of
a
incel
relationship.
vibes a little.
Yeah, maybe a bit of like an inceldom like
Just be like,
audience.
oh, this guy immediately gets a beautiful wife that loves him and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
it's
with
like,
no
oh,
effort put in at all whatsoever.
And it,
yeah, it's like, oh, you're a lonely college student or like some lonely like teenage
Mhm.
young adult. Oh well, here's a wife, and here's what life will be like after.
Yeah, it's
yeah, and it's just like
a
the
little
most
weird.
rose tinted glasses look at the
For sure. Yeah,
whole scenario.
if we wanted to have the gender stereotype conversation, then this would be a very different conversation, and the show would get a very different review.
Yeah.
But I mean, what
but
I like about it is that it for being targeted towards like a college or like just out of high school level audience, right? It's
mhm.
sort of
Mhm.
you normally wouldn't ever get a preview of like what a married life is like in shows that are usually targeted towards you, right?
That's
So
true.
what I
That's
like
true.
is just how
just
different
just
it
the
is.
fact that it tackles the subject of marriage at all makes it sets it apart from the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I think that that's definitely one of the biggest things it has going for it.
Yeah.
Like actually, you both said this. It's basically just like we even like the best love stories in anime, we never get to see the after story really.
Unless you're watching Clannad After
Clannad After
Clannad
Story.
After
But
Story.
this
I knew you were
is
gonna
the
say
kind of
that.
this is the kind of show that makes you want to go out and slog through the first 24 episodes of the OG Clannad to get to the after story.
Yeah. So it's like it's very rare that we get to see that. So then just the fact that we get to see it is good. But then again, I also feel like that Loki, it's not really doing that that plot situation, I guess, like justice, because like
It feels
you were
fake
really to
because of
just
all the
skip the marriage,
misunderstandings and
I feel like you would just
yeah.
like start dating like a normal couple would, except you would also be living together. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, because right now we haven't really gotten to see too much.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. And I just can't say anything, you know.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm just like, yep.
I mean,
it's good
I
stuff.
guess there's also the whole supernatural aspect, the fact that she survived getting hit by a truck.
Yeah, and
So
she's like impossible to kill somehow. Like she's just
yeah,
I don't even
that's sort
know.
of that's a can of worms that they haven't really dived into. I guess that's not really that's not really a metaphor, but they haven't
It's
really
just
gotten
kinda
into
weird.
that plot yet. So
Mm-hmm.
there's still more more about the show we haven't figured out yet. But
There's also
Yeah,
like
for sure.
the really weird part where like the fact that he was likely like 14 or 15 or something, and she was probably like 13 or 12.
Yeah,
yeah.
And when
yeah,
they
that's
just
something a bit
agreed
weird
to
because
marriage, I'm
he's
like,
18.
he said
okay.
she's 16, right? Are you even allowed? Well, I don't know about
Wait.
the rules in Japan, but
In
like,
Japan, you
are
can
you
be
even allowed to
16
get
and
married
married.
like before you're an adult?
Yes, with your parents' consent. That's what they go over in the anime. Actually, first episode, they literally said, yeah, she has to hand in like her marriage consent form or something because your parents had to sign something, or her guardians or whatever. And
yeah,
so
I'm just
yeah,
gonna
like main
assume
character's
that
18.
in terms of all legalities, it checks out. But it was definitely kind of sus to find out that wait, she's only 16.
Yeah, that was
And wait,
weird.
that means she was literally like 12 or 13 when they decided to get married. Like,
She was just like, yeah, sure, I'll go out with you if you marry me. Yes,
Yeah.
the negotiator. Like, okay.
yeah, I know.
Uh, though I seriously do like the anime. I like where it's
Yeah.
going so far.
I think I'll probably keep watching, but it is kind of cringeworthy
Mhm.
sometimes. Just thinking of the intended purpose of all the marriage contrivance, you know.
But it's like it's weird, but it's weird in a way that like I don't know, I don't really mind it, you know? It's like kind of wholesome.
Okay. Well, I
Just
think
okay.
that's everything we have to say about that anime for now. I don't think we're really watching any other seasons. I know Link is watching Haikyuu, but we haven't really gotten into that yet. You still haven't even
Mhm.
started that. So,
I should start Haikyuu at some point. I just haven't really. I don't know what to say.
yeah, but I guess that'll be it for this week. So,
I suppose that's all we have to talk about. So,
if you're still listening, thanks again for sticking through it with us, and we'll definitely be back in another 2 weeks, talking more about. I think you got the vibe a little bit this time, but less seasonal, more other topics to dive into. So yeah, once again, make sure to check us out on Instagram and on Twitter and on Spotify. And
We got we got, what is it? The Apple Podcast or something. We have
Yeah.
ourselves the obviously Spotify, Google Podcasts. We have the Instagram. We have the Twitter, and we also have I think the links on the Twitter, but it's to the Anchor where you can find all of our other links.
Hey guys, I'm back.
He's back. finally. Just trying to fill the air for a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Link's internet died for a second, but
But
yeah.
we're good, yeah. And I heard you guys there. So yeah, pretty much everything is available on Anchor. Anchor is linked. Boy, like the links are everywhere, guys. Like if you wanna find these links and you're not listening on YouTube because they're all linked there as well.
Mhm.
You follow us on Instagram or Twitter. Do you guys already plug that?
Yep.
Yeah,
I think I
All right,
plugged
great.
everything.
So
So
okay,
but we're all over the
Beautiful, yeah.
place.
We're
so
good.
it's not
yeah,
hard to
really,
find
right
us.
now, just trying to kind of build a crowd and get something going. But yeah. Okay, so then I guess I'll end it off here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, leave a comment, anything like that. And we'll catch you later.
Yep.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.